My name is Paige Carter. I am 29 years old and I live in Franklin. My mother called me 3 days before Thanksgiving. I thought she needed me to fix the oven or maybe pick up groceries. I was used to being useful. I was not used to being wanted. Her voice was cold and sharp. She didn't even say hello. "Paige," she said, "you can't come to dinner this year. Ava is bringing her new boyfriend, Logan, to meet us. She wants him to have a good first impression." I stood in my kitchen, still wearing my work boots. I gripped the phone tight. "What does that mean?" I asked. "It means," my mother said, "that having you there would make her look bad. You're too rough. We need this to be perfect." It felt like a knife in my chest. I looked down at my hands. They were stained with grease because I am a mechanic. I fix things. I had fixed their problems for years. But I wasn't good enough to sit at their table. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just hung up the phone. I thought that was the end of it. I thought I would spend the holiday alone. But the next morning, my entire family stormed onto my front porch. My parents, my perfect sister Ava, and the new boyfriend, Logan, they were furious. But then Logan looked at me. He didn't look disgusted. He looked amazed. And he said one sentence that cracked my family's hierarchy in half. "But before I tell you how everything flipped, like and subscribe, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? My name is Paige. I am 29 years old. If you looked at my hands right now, you would see grease under my fingernails. You would see calluses on my palms. You would see a small scar on my left thumb where a wrench slipped 3 years ago. I am an auto mechanic. I work at a shop in Franklin. I spend my days surrounded by steel, oil, and the smell of gasoline. I like it. Engines are honest. If an engine is broken, it tells you. It makes a noise. It smokes. You find the broken part, you take it out, and you put a new one in. Then it runs. It is simple. It makes sense. People are not like engines, especially my family. Growing up, I was the girl in the background. I was the one who didn't fit. I have a sister named Ava. Ava is 2 years younger than me. From the day she was born, she was the star. She was the main character of our family. I was just the stage crew. Ava is beautiful. She has perfect blonde hair. She has a small waist. She knows how to smile in a way that makes people want to give her things. My mother loved that about her. My mother cares very much about how things look. She cares about what the neighbors think. She cares about the brand of clothes we wear. My mother looked at Ava and saw a princess. She looked at me and saw a problem. I was not a princess. I was quiet. I was broad-shouldered. I liked to take things apart to see how they worked. When I was 10, I took apart the toaster. My mother yelled at me for 2 hours. She said I was destructive. She didn't care that I put it back together and fixed the spring that was stuck. She only saw the mess. That was the difference between us. Ava was decoration. I was utility. My father wasn't much better. He was a businessman. He liked things to be smooth. He didn't want trouble. He liked Ava because she was pretty and she laughed at his jokes. He didn't know what to do with me. I remember one Christmas when I was 12. Ava got a velvet dress and a karaoke machine. She spent the whole morning singing in the living room. My parents clapped. They took photos. They told her she was going to be a star. I got a set of encyclopedias. I didn't mind the books. I liked reading. But I understood the message. Ava was for showing off. Paige was for sitting in the corner and being quiet. By the time I was in high school, the roles were set in stone. Ava was the popular girl. She was on the homecoming court. She needed money for dresses, for makeup, for hair appointments. My parents gave it to her without asking questions. Ava needs to look her best, my mother would say. It's important for her future. I didn't ask for dresses. I asked for shop class. My high school had a vocational program. You could learn to fix cars. When I told my parents I wanted to take it, my mother wrinkled her nose. "Mechanics," she said. "That's dirty work, Paige. That's for other people." "I like cars," I told her. "I'm good at it." "It's not very ladylike," my father added. He didn't look up from his newspaper. "But I suppose it will keep you busy." That was their attitude. As long as I was busy and out of the way, they didn't care. So I went to the garage. And I fell in love. I loved the logic of it. I loved that it didn't matter if I was pretty. It didn't matter if I was popular. The car didn't care. The car only cared if I knew what I was doing. And I did. I had a knack for it. My teacher, Mr. Henderson, told me I had golden hands. "You can feel the problem," he told me once. "Most people just look. You feel it." That was the first compliment I remember getting that felt real. I started working at a local garage as soon as I graduated. I didn't go to a fancy college like Ava. Ava went to a private university to study communications. My parents paid for her tuition, her apartment, her car, and her sorority fees. They bragged about her to everyone. Ava is doing so well, they would tell the neighbors. She's blossoming. They didn't talk about me. When people asked what Paige was doing, my mother would lower her voice. Oh, she's working, manual labor. You know how she is. They were ashamed of me, I knew it. I saw it in the way they looked at my work boots when I came home to visit. I saw it in the way they never asked about my day. But I didn't stop, I worked hard. I saved my money, I bought my own tools. I rented a small house on the edge of town. I built a life. I told myself I didn't need their approval. I told myself I was strong. But it hurts. It always hurts when your own family looks at you and wishes you were someone else. I remember one specific night that showed me exactly where I stood. I was 22. Ava was 20. She was home from college for the summer. My parents were throwing a garden party. They invited all their friends. They hired a caterer. Ava was the center of attention. She wore a white sundress. She floated around the garden, laughing and chatting. My mother held her arm like a trophy. I was in the kitchen. The sink had clogged an hour before the party started. My mother had panicked. Paige, she had screamed. Do something, the water is rising. It smells awful, so I was under the sink. I was wearing my good pants, but I was on my knees on the wet floor. I was wrestling with a rusty pipe. My hair was in my face, I was sweating, I fixed it. I pulled out a clump of grease and food that had blocked the drain. The water went down. I crawled out from under the cabinet. My shirt was wet. My hands were filthy. My mother walked in. She didn't say thank you. She didn't ask if I was okay. She looked at my dirty hands and frowned. Wash up quickly, she said, and use the back door if you need to go outside. I don't want the guests to see you looking like a janitor. She turned and walked back to the party, back to Ava. I stood there by the sink. I washed my hands until they were red. Then I went out the back door. I didn't go to the party. I got in my truck and went home. They didn't call to ask where I was. They didn't notice I was gone. The sink was working. That was all they needed. That night at the party wasn't an accident. It was the pattern. It was the way my life worked for years. I became the family backup plan. I became the safety net. My parents and Ava lived in a world of image. They wanted everything to look perfect, but real life isn't perfect. Things break. Tires go flat. Roofs leak. Money runs out. Whenever real life happened, they called me. They didn't call me to say happy birthday. They didn't call me to ask how my job was going. They called when they needed something fixed. Paige, the air conditioner is making a funny noise. Paige, I have a flat tire on the highway. Paige, Ava overspent her allowance and needs rent money. I always said yes. Why did I say yes? Because I wanted them to love me. I thought if I was useful enough, eventually they would value me. I thought if I fixed enough problems, they would look at me and say, wow, we are so lucky to have Paige. It never happened. They treated my help like a duty, like it was something I owed them. When Ava was 24, she got her first job in the city. She called me at 2 in the morning on a Tuesday. Paige, she was crying. My car won't start. I'm at a club downtown. It's raining. I'm scared. I had to work at 6 in the morning, but I didn't hesitate. Stay there, I said. I'm coming. I drove 45 minutes into the city. I found her car. It was a simple fix, a loose battery cable. I tightened it in 2 minutes. Ava was sitting in the passenger seat, checking her makeup in the mirror. She didn't get out to hold the flashlight for me. She didn't offer to buy me a coffee. When the engine started, she clapped. Oh, thank God, you're a lifesaver, Paige. You should get this battery checked, I told her, wiping rain off my face. It's old. Yeah, she said. She was already texting someone on her phone. I have to go. My friends are waiting at the diner. Thanks, sis. She drove away. I stood in the rain in a parking lot at 3 a.m. I drove home. I slept for 2 hours. Then I went to work and stood on concrete floors for 10 hours fixing other people's cars. My parents never thanked me for going to get her. When I mentioned it to my mom later, she just shrugged. Well, you know about cars, Mom said. It's easy for you. Ava is helpless with those things. We have to look out for her. We have to look out for her. That was always the phrase. Ava was the fragile vase. I was the cardboard box you used to move it. It wasn't just labor. It was money, too. My parents lived above their means. They wanted the big house and the nice cars to show off, but they were bad with money. 3 years ago, my dad forgot to pay the property tax. He got a notice that the county was going to put a lien on the house. He panicked. He called me. I'm short on cash this month, he said. His voice was tight. I just need a loan. $5,000. I'll pay you back when my bonus comes in. $5,000 was my entire savings. It was the money I was saving to buy a classic car to restore, a 1972 Charger. It was my dream. But I heard the fear in his voice. Okay, Dad, I said, I'll write you a check. I gave him the money, he paid the taxes, he never paid me back. 6 months later, he bought a new set of golf clubs. They cost $2,000. When I asked about the loan, he got angry. Why are you bringing that up? He snapped. We're family, Paige, we help each other, you don't need the money anyway, you live so simply. He said simply like it was an insult. Like my life was small and cheap, so my money didn't matter. I stopped asking. I just worked harder. I took extra shifts. I restored that Charger eventually, but I did it with scraps and late nights, piece by piece. I was the silent backbone of the Carter family. I kept the heat on. I kept the cars running. I kept Ava out of trouble. But I was never invited to the celebration dinners. When Ava got a promotion, they went to a fancy steakhouse. I found out about it on Facebook. When I asked Mom, she said, "Oh, it was just a last-minute thing. And you know you don't like that fancy food, you're a meat and potatoes girl." They made decisions for me. They decided where I belonged. And they decided I belonged in the garage, not at the table. I let them do it. For years, I let them do it. I swallowed the hurt. I told myself it was fine. Until this Thanksgiving. Until the phone call that changed everything. I think deep down, I knew a breaking point was coming. You can only tighten a bolt so much before it snaps. You can only ignore a warning light for so long before the engine blows. I was running on empty. And they were about to demand more fuel. It was Tuesday. Thanksgiving was on Thursday. I was in my kitchen. I had come home early from the garage because I wanted to bake. I know it sounds silly. A mechanic baking pies, but I liked it. Baking is chemistry. It is precise. If you follow the instructions, you get a good result. I was making a pecan pie. It was Dad's favorite. I made it every year. I had bought the expensive pecans. I had made the crust from scratch. I was feeling good. I was tired, but it was a good tired. I looked at the calendar on my wall. I had circled Thursday in red marker. I had written family dinner 4 p.m. I was actually looking forward to it. I knew they would ignore me. I knew Mom would criticize my outfit. I knew Dad would talk about golf, but they were my family. And on holidays, you are supposed to be with family. It's what you do. Then the phone rang. I wiped the flour off my hands onto my apron. I saw Mom on the caller ID. I smiled. I picked it up. "Hey, Mom," I said. "I'm just making the pecan pie. Did you need me to bring extra ice?" There was a pause. A long, cold silence. "Don't make the pie, Paige," my mother said. Her voice wasn't angry. It was worse. It was matter of fact. It was the voice she used when she was returning a pair of shoes she didn't like. "What?" I asked. "Why?" "Dad loves it." "We need to talk about Thursday," she said. She let out a small sigh like I was already exhausting her. "Plans have changed." "Did you move the time?" I asked. "I can come earlier. I can come help set up." "No," she said. "Paige, listen to me. Ava is bringing Logan. You know about Logan. He is special. He comes from a very prominent family in the city. His father owns the dealership group. They are very polished people." "Okay," I said. "I'm happy for her. I look forward to meeting him." "That's the thing," Mom said. "Ava and I have been talking. We want everything to be perfect. We want the atmosphere to be elegant. Refined." I stood very still in my kitchen. The oven timer was ticking, tick, 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 and, I said, and Mom said, "We think it would be better if you didn't come." I didn't understand the words at first. It didn't make sense. "If I didn't come to Thanksgiving." "It's just for this year," she said quickly. "We just want to make a specific impression. Let's be honest, Paige, you are rough around the edges." "Rough," I repeated. "Yes, you know how you are. You have those calluses on your hands. You always smell a little bit like oil, even when you shower. You don't have the right clothes for a formal dinner. You'd sit there in your flannel shirt and your boots, and you would stick out. You would make Ava look common." My hand gripped the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. "I have a dress," I said. My voice was quiet. "I can wear a dress. I can scrub my hands." "It's not just the clothes, Paige," she said. Her voice got harder. "It's you. It's your whole vibe. You're a mechanic. You work with your hands. It's fine for you, but it's not the image Ava wants to present to Logan right now. She wants him to think we come from a certain world. Having you there, staring at your plate, maybe talking about engines, it would be embarrassing." Embarrassing. The word hung in the air. I looked down at my hands. There was flour on them. Under the flour, there was a faint dark line of grease under my thumbnail. I had tried to scrub it out, but it never really goes away. It is part of me. I see, I said. I knew you would understand, she said. She sounded relieved. She didn't sound sorry. She sounded like she had just checked an item off a list. We'll save you some leftovers. Maybe you can come by on Saturday to fix the garage door opener. It's been sticking. The audacity hit me like a physical blow. They were uninviting me from Thanksgiving because I was embarrassing. But they still wanted me to come fix the garage door 2 days later. I was good enough to work for them. I was good enough to sweat for them, but I wasn't good enough to eat with them. Something inside me clicked. It wasn't a loud click. It was the sound of a lock turning. It was the sound of a door shutting forever. For 29 years, I had tried. I had tried to be helpful. I had tried to be good. I had accepted the scraps of love they threw at me. But this was not love. This was not family. Paige, Mom asked. Are you there? I'm here, I said. My voice was steady. I was surprised by how steady it was. So Saturday works, she asked. I have to go, Mom, I said. My pie is burning. Don't bake the pie, Paige. Nobody will be there to eat it. I'm baking it for me, I said. I hung up the phone. I stood there in the silence. I didn't cry. I thought I would cry, but the tears didn't come. Instead, I felt cold. I felt clear. I walked over to the oven. I took the pie out. It smelled delicious. It smelled like cinnamon and sugar and home. I walked to the trash can. I didn't throw the pie away. I set it on the counter. Then I went to the sink. I turned on the water. I grabbed the heavy-duty soap with the grit in it. I started to scrub my hands. I scrubbed until my skin was raw. I scrubbed until it hurt. They thought I was dirty. They thought I was shameful. I looked at my face in the kitchen window reflection. I saw a strong woman. I saw a woman who paid her own bills. A woman who fixed things that were broken. They were the ones who were broken. I went to my bedroom. I took off my apron. I put on my favorite oversized hoodie. I sat on my couch and stared at the wall. I was alone on Thanksgiving. But for the first time, I realized that being alone might be better than being with people who made me feel small. I went to sleep early that night. I turned my phone off. I didn't want to hear from them. I didn't want to hear their excuses or their demands. I thought it was over. I thought I would have a quiet, sad holiday. I was wrong. The next morning was Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. I woke up at 6, it's a habit. The sun was just coming up. The sky was gray and cold. I made coffee. I stood on my front porch, wrapped in a blanket, watching the steam rise from my mug. My house is small. It's a bungalow on a quiet street. It's not fancy like my parents' house in the gated community, but it's mine. I bought it. I fixed the roof myself. I painted the walls. It was my sanctuary. And then the invasion happened. I heard them before I saw them. My father's SUV is a massive black beast. He drives it fast. I heard the tires screech around the corner. Then I saw it. It roared down my street and swerved into my driveway. It almost hit my mailbox. Then came Ava's car, a white convertible. She parked behind Dad, blocking him in. I stood on the porch, freezing, holding my coffee. My stomach dropped. Why were they here? Had someone died? Was there an emergency? The doors flew open. My mother got out first. She was wearing a long wool coat and heels. She looked furious. Her face was red. My father got out next. He slammed his door so hard the car shook. Then Ava. She looked perfect, of course. Her hair was blown out. She was wearing a cashmere sweater, but she looked angry too. And then the passenger door of Ava's car opened. A man stepped out. He was tall. He had dark hair and broad shoulders. He was wearing a nice jacket, but he wore it casually. He looked calm. This had to be Logan, the polished boyfriend. The reason I was uninvited. They marched up my walkway like an army. Paige, my mother screamed. She didn't care that it was 6:30 in the morning. She didn't care about my neighbors. I didn't move. I just took a sip of my coffee. Good morning, I said calmly. They stomped up the steps and crowded onto my small porch. It felt like all the air had been sucked out of the space. How dare you, my father shouted. He pointed a finger in my face. How dare you call her? I blinked. Call who? Grandma, Mom yelled. Don't play innocent with me, Paige. Grandma called us 10 minutes ago. She canceled coming to dinner. She said if Paige isn't welcome, she isn't coming either. I stared at them. My grandmother. Dad's mom, she was a tough old lady. She lived in Florida, but she usually flew up for the holidays. We didn't talk often, maybe once a month. I hadn't called her. I didn't call her, I said. Liar, Ava stepped forward. She looked frantic. Grandma said she heard I was ashamed of my sister. She said she raised us better than that. Now she's not coming, and she's threatening to write me out of her will. Do you know how much money that is? I didn't call her, I said again. My voice was hard. Maybe she just knows you people better than you think. You must have told someone, Mom said. Did you post it on Facebook? Did you complain to your cousins? How did she find out? I didn't tell anyone, I said. I just hung up the phone and went to bed. Well, fix it, Dad boomed. Call her back. Tell her it was a misunderstanding. Tell her you decided not to come because you're sick, or you have to work. I looked at my father. He was sweating. He wasn't worried about my feelings. He was worried about Grandma's money. He was worried about the perfect family image cracking. No, I said. The silence on the porch was sudden and heavy. What did you say? Dad whispered. I said no, I'm not lying for you. You uninvited me. Live with it? Ava let out a sound like a strangled cat. Paige, you are ruining everything. Logan is right here. Do you have to be so difficult in front of him? I looked at Logan. He was standing at the back of the group, leaning against the railing. He wasn't yelling. He was watching. He was looking at me with a strange expression. He looked interested. And while we are here, Mom cut in, ignoring my refusal, we have another problem. The roof over the dining room is leaking. A wet spot appeared on the ceiling this morning. It's right over the main table. She looked at me expectantly. I stared at her. So, she snapped. So you need to come fix it. Now, before the dinner tomorrow. We can't have a bucket in the middle of the room when the guests arrive. It looks trashy. My jaw tightened. They had just accused me of ruining their life, screamed at me for something I didn't do, and now they wanted me to climb on their roof and do manual labor. You uninvited me, I said slowly. You told me I was embarrassing. You told me my clothes and my hands were too dirty for your table, but now you want these dirty hands to come fix your roof. Don't be dramatic, Dad said. He waved his hand dismissively. We're family, you help out, that's what you do. You fix things, we don't know how to get up on the roof. You have the ladder, you have the tools. Hire a contractor, I said. It's the day before Thanksgiving, Dad yelled. Nobody is working, they'll charge triple, you can do it for free. And we need you to write a check, Ava added. She crossed her arms. Since Grandma isn't coming, she's not bringing the check she usually gives me for my birthday. I needed that for the catering bill. I'm short $500. She held out her hand. Like she expected me to just put money in it. I looked at them. A tableau of selfishness. My mother worried about the ceiling stain. My father worried about the cost of a contractor. My sister worried about her catering bill. None of them looked at me. They looked through me. They saw a tool. They saw an ATM. They didn't see Paige. I can't believe you are being so selfish, Mom said, shaking her head. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done for me, I asked. Like what? We gave you life, Dad shouted. We let you live your little life with your grease and your cars. We never stopped you. You never helped me either, I said. We are here right now, aren't we? Ava said. We came to see you. You came to yell at me and ask for money, I said. I looked past them at Logan. He hadn't said a word yet. He was just watching. His eyes went from Ava's angry face to my parents' red faces and then back to me. He pushed off the railing. He took a step forward. Ava turned to him, her face instantly changing from angry to sweet. Logan, honey, I'm so sorry. My sister is she's going through a phase. She's very jealous, we can go. Logan didn't look at Ava. He looked at me. He looked at my work boots, which I had slipped on to come outside. He looked at the 1969 Mustang I had parked in my driveway, my current project car. Then he looked at my face. Wait a second, Logan said. His voice was deep and calm. It cut through the screaming like a knife. He pointed at the Mustang in the driveway, then he pointed at me. You're Paige Carter? He asked. I frowned. Yes, the Paige Carter who restored the '72 Charger that won Best in Show at the State Fair last year. The porch went silent. My parents looked confused. Ava looked nervous. Yes, I said. That was me. Logan smiled. It was a real smile. It reached his eyes. I've been trying to find that mechanic for 6 months, he said. My dad collects classics. He said the work on that Charger was the best he'd ever seen. He said the person who did it was an artist. He turned to Ava. You told me your sister was unemployed, he said. Ava went pale. I said she didn't have a real job. I meant a corporate job. Logan turned back to me. He looked at my hands, the hands my mother called dirty. It's an honor to meet you, Logan said. He held out his hand. My mother's mouth fell open. My father looked like he had been slapped. For the first time in my life, someone in their circle wasn't looking at Ava. They were looking at me. And they weren't looking down, they were looking up. I looked at Logan's hand. It was hovering in the air between us. My brain was moving slow. It was having trouble processing what was happening. For 29 years, people who looked like Logan, rich, polished, successful, looked right through me, or they looked at me with pity. But Logan wasn't looking at me with pity. He was looking at me like I was a celebrity. I wiped my hand on my jeans. I didn't want to get grease on him, even though he didn't seem to care. I shook his hand. His grip was firm and warm. "I'm Paige," I said. "Logan," he said, "I'm a huge fan of your work. Seriously, that Charger. The way you rebuilt the suspension while keeping the original chassis integrity, it was brilliant." I felt a flush of heat go up my neck. It wasn't embarrassment. It was pride. It was the feeling of being seen. "Thank you," I said. "It took me 8 months to source the parts." "I bet," Logan said. He stepped closer to me, ignoring Ava completely. "And this Mustang. Is this a 302 boss?" "It's a 69 Mach 1, I corrected him gently. "I'm swapping the transmission right now. It's going to be a beast when I'm done." Logan whistled. He looked at the car with genuine appreciation. My family stood there frozen. It was like someone had hit the pause button on a movie. My mother's mouth was still slightly open. My father was blinking rapidly. Ava looked like she was going to be sick. This wasn't in the script. In their script, Logan was supposed to be horrified by me. He was supposed to see the grease and the old house and be thankful he was with the good sister. Instead, he was bonding with me. "Logan," Ava's voice was high and tight. She stepped between us, physically blocking him from looking at me. "Honey, we really don't have time for this. We need to go. My sister is busy." Logan looked down at Ava. His expression had changed. The warmth was gone. He looked confused. "You told me she didn't do anything," Logan said. "You told me she messed around in a garage because she couldn't hold a job." Ava's face turned bright red. "Well, it's not a career, Logan. It's a hobby. It's dirty work. It's skilled labor," Logan said. He didn't raise his voice, but the words hit hard. "My dad pays guys $300 an hour to do what she does, and she does it better." He looked back at me. "You own your own shop." "I work at Miller's Auto on 4th, I said, "but I do my custom work here in my garage." "That's incredible," he said. My mother stepped forward. She couldn't stand it. She couldn't stand that the attention was off Ava. She couldn't stand that her narrative was falling apart. "Oh, let's not exaggerate," Mom said with a tight, fake laugh. "Paige likes to tinker, it's cute. But we really are here for a reason, Logan. Family matters." She turned her glare on me. The mask slipped back into place. The hate came back. "Paige," she said sharply, "enough of this car talk. We have a crisis. Your grandmother is furious. The roof is leaking. Ava needs help." "Yeah," Dad chimed in, trying to regain control. He puffed out his chest. "Logan doesn't need to hear the boring details. Paige, get your ladder, follow us to the house, and bring your checkbook. We need to sort this out now." They were doing it again. They were dismissing me. They were treating me like the help. Usually, this is the part where I would crumble. Usually, I would feel shame. I would think maybe they are right. Maybe I am just a grease monkey. Maybe I should just do what they say so they stop yelling. But then I looked at Logan. He was watching them. He looked disgusted. He saw them. He saw how they treated me. He saw the disrespect. And because he saw it, I saw it too. I saw it clearly for the first time. They didn't love me. They used me. And they were ashamed of me. They had lied to this man to hide me. They had uninvited me from Thanksgiving to hide me. And now they were demanding I fix their roof and pay their bills. The absurdity of it washed over me. "No," I thought, "not this time." My father clapped his hands together. "Well, what are you waiting for? Let's go." I took a sip of my coffee. It was cold now, but I didn't care. I set the mug down on the porch railing. I looked at my father. I looked him right in the eye. "No," I said. The word hung in the cold morning air. "No, it is a small word, 2 letters. But in my family, it was a forbidden word. I had never said it, not really. I had complained. I had argued, but I had never just said no and meant it." My father's face turned purple. "Excuse me." "I said no," I repeated. My voice didn't shake. My hands were steady. "I'm not coming to fix your roof. I'm not giving Ava money, and I'm certainly not calling Grandma to lie for you." "You have to," Ava screamed. She stomped her foot like a child. "You're ruining everything. If you don't call Grandma, I don't get my birthday check. If I don't get the check, I can't pay the caterer. Do you want my party to be ruined?" "I don't care," I said. "You don't care," Mom gasped. She clutched her chest. How can you be so cruel? Ava is your sister. And I am her sister, I said. But I wasn't invited to dinner, remember? I was uninvited. Because I'm embarrassing, because I'm dirty. I held up my hands. These hands are too dirty to hold a fork at your table, so they are definitely too dirty to sign a check for you. That is different, Mom yelled. That is about image, Paige. This is about survival. We are a family. No, I said. We aren't. A family doesn't hide their daughter. A family doesn't lie about who she is. We didn't lie, Dad shouted. We just polished the truth. You told him I was unemployed, I said. You told him I was a loser. Because you are ashamed that I work for a living. We are ashamed because you have no ambition, Dad roared. He lost his temper completely. He stepped into my personal space. He was big and loud, and usually he scared me. You could have been anything. You could have been a lawyer, a doctor, but you chose to be a mechanic. You chose to be common, and now you think you can stand there and judge us. I am judging you, I said. And I'm finding you lacking. You ungrateful brat, Dad raised his hand. He didn't hit me. He never hit me, but he gestured wildly. After all we spent on you, the food, the clothes, I have paid for everything since I was 18, I said. I bought this house. I bought my truck. I pay my own insurance. You haven't spent a dime on me in a decade. But I spent $5,000 on your taxes, Dad. Remember that? Dad froze. He looked at Logan quickly. She's lying, Dad muttered, but his face was pale. I have the canceled check, I said calmly. I have every invoice for every repair I ever did on your house. I have the receipts for Ava's car repairs. Do you want me to get them? Do you want to show Logan the math? Ava started to cry. It was her best weapon. Huge, sobbing tears. Stop it, she wailed. Logan, make her stop. She's being so mean to me. She's always been jealous of me because I'm pretty and she's manly. She buried her face in Logan's shoulder, expecting him to wrap his arms around her, expecting him to comfort her and scold me. But Logan didn't move. He didn't hug her back. He stood there stiff as a board. He gently took Ava by the shoulders and pushed her away. Ava, Logan said. His voice was ice cold. Stop. Ava stopped crying instantly. She looked up at him shocked. What? Logan looked at my parents, then he looked at Ava. I think I've seen enough, Logan said. What do you mean? Mom asked nervously. Logan, don't listen to Paige. She's hysterical. It's her hormones. She seems pretty calm to me, Logan said. Actually, she seems like the only rational person on this porch. He turned to me. Paige, he said. I'm sorry, I blinked. Why are you sorry? I'm sorry I'm part of the reason they treated you like this today, he said. If I had known my visit was going to be used as an excuse to hurt you, I never would have come. Logan, Ava gasped. How can you say that? I did it for you. I wanted everything to be perfect for you. By cutting out your own sister, Logan asked. He shook his head. That's not perfect, Ava. That's ugly. My family, we're loud, we're messy. My uncle is a plumber. My cousin drives a tow truck. If you tried to uninvite one of them because of their job, my father would throw you out of the house. My parents looked like they had swallowed glass. Logan's family, the rich, prominent family they were trying so hard to impress, valued blue-collar work. It didn't compute. It broke their worldview. But you're wealthy, Mom stammered. We have money, Logan said. That doesn't mean we're snobs. We respect hard work. And it looks like Paige is the only one here who knows what that means. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his car keys. I'm leaving, Logan said. Leaving? Ava screamed. But Thanksgiving, the dinner, I bought a new dress. I can't have dinner with people who treat their family like trash, Logan said. It kills my appetite. He looked at me. Paige, do you need help with anything here? Do you want me to stay until they leave? I felt a lump in my throat. It was the first time anyone had offered to protect me from them. I'm okay, I said. I looked at my parents. They looked small now, defeated. I think they were just leaving. We are not leaving until you agree to fix the roof, Dad shouted, trying one last time to use force. I am your father, I command you, I laughed. It was a dry, short sound. You have no power here, I said. This is my house. This is my porch. Get off my property. You can't talk to me like that. I just did, I said. Get off my property, or I will call the police. And I think having a squad car in the driveway would really be embarrassing for the neighbors to see, don't you? My mother gasped. She knew I meant it. The threat of a public scene was the only thing that scared them more than losing money. Fine, Mom hissed. She grabbed Dad's arm. Come on, horrible girl. You will regret this. Don't expect a Christmas gift. I haven't expected a gift in years, I said. They turned and marched down the stairs. Ava lingered for a second, looking at Logan. Logan, she whimpered, are you coming? No, Logan said. I'll Uber back to the city, don't call me Ava. Ava burst into fresh tears, real ones this time, and ran to her car. They drove away, the black SUV peeled out, the white convertible followed. Quiet returned to my street. I stood on the porch. My heart was pounding in my chest like a jackhammer. My hands were shaking now. The adrenaline was fading, leaving me weak. Logan was still standing there. Are you okay? He asked. I took a deep breath. The air was cold and clean. No, I said honestly. I'm not okay, but I will be. Good, he said. He hesitated. Look, I know this is weird, and I know you just met me, but I really meant what I said about your work, and I don't really have anywhere to go for Thanksgiving now. He looked at the Mustang in the driveway. Do you need a hand with that transmission swap? He asked. I'm pretty good with a wrench. I don't have my work clothes, but I can roll up my sleeves. I looked at him. I looked at the empty driveway where my family used to be. Then I looked at my house, my sanctuary. I don't have a turkey, I said. I only have a pecan pie. Logan smiled. I love pecan pie. Okay, I said, but you have to let me give you a pair of coveralls. You can't work on a Mustang in that jacket. Deal, he said. We walked into the garage. For the first time in my life on Thanksgiving, I wasn't the servant. I wasn't the disappointment. I was the boss. It was Christmas Eve. A month had passed since Thanksgiving. A month of silence. I hadn't called my parents. They hadn't called me. Usually, Christmas Eve is a stressful time. Usually, I am running around my parents' house, hanging lights, cooking the ham, and wrapping Ava's gifts because she didn't have time. But this year was different. I was in my garage, but it didn't look like a lonely workshop. It looked like a party. I had cleared out the center bay. I set up 2 folding tables. We had pizza, wings, and a cooler full of soda. I had strung cheap Christmas lights across the tool cabinets. They twinkled against the steel. The garage was full of people. Real people. Mrs. Higgins from next door was there with her famous cookies. The 3 teenage boys I was teaching to weld were there, laughing and eating pizza. Mr. Henderson, my old shop teacher, was sitting on a tire, telling stories, and Logan was there. Logan hadn't left. Well, he had gone back to the city to get his things, but he came back every weekend. He liked the garage. He liked the quiet. He liked that I didn't ask him for money or status. We weren't dating, not really. We were just building something. Friendship, respect, maybe something more. It was slow. It was nice. He was wearing a flannel shirt covered in sawdust. He was helping the boys fix a dent in an old truck hood. He looked happy. The radio was playing Jingle Bell Rock. The heater was humming. The air smelled like pepperoni and motor oil. It was the best Christmas Eve of my life. Then the side door banged open. The music didn't stop, but the conversation did. Everyone turned to look. My parents stood in the doorway. They looked terrible. My mother's hair was messy. She wasn't wearing makeup. My father looked older, his face gray and tired. Ava was behind them, shivering in a coat that looked too thin for the weather. The cold wind blew in behind them, cutting through the warmth of the garage. Turn that noise off, my father yelled. One of the teenagers, a kid named Mike, looked at me. I nodded. He reached over and turned off the radio. The silence was sudden and sharp. What are you doing here? I asked. I didn't stand up. I stayed sitting on my stool. I had a slice of pizza in my hand. I put it down on a paper plate. We need to talk, Mom said. Her voice was shaking. Now, in private. She looked around the room at my friends. She looked at Mrs. Higgins with disgust. She looked at the teenagers with suspicion. These are my guests, I said. I'm not going anywhere. You are ruining us, Ava screamed. She pushed past Mom. Her eyes were red and puffy. You ruined everything. Logan dumped me. He blocked my number. He told his parents what happened, and now his mother won't speak to Mom at the country club. That sounds like a you problem, I said calmly. It is your fault, Dad shouted. He stepped into the garage. He looked like a bull ready to charge. You poisoned him against us. You told him lies. You made us look like monsters. I didn't have to make you look like monsters, I said. You did that all by yourself. We are your family, Mom cried out. She walked toward me, her hands out. How can you be so cold? It's Christmas Eve. We are sitting at home, alone, with no money for the heating bill because Grandma cut us off. And you are here having a party. Grandma cut you off? I asked. Yes, Dad said. She called us a disgrace. She sent her check to a charity instead. We have bills, Paige, we have mortgages. Ava has credit card debt. And let me guess, I said, you want me to fix it. You owe us, Ava yelled. You've always been the selfish one, hoarding your money, while we struggle to maintain our standard of living. Standard of living, I repeated. I stood up, I wiped my hands on a rag. I expected this, I said. I walked over to my workbench. I opened the bottom drawer. It made a heavy metal sound. Clang. I pulled out a thick red folder. It was bulging with papers. I walked back to the center of the room. My family was watching me. The neighbors were watching me. Logan was watching me from the back, his arms crossed. You say I owe you, I said. You say I'm selfish. You say I never help. I opened the folder. Let's look at the record. I pulled out a piece of paper. August 2019, I read aloud. Dad's property tax bill, $5,000, paid by Paige Carter. Never repaid. I dropped the paper on the floor. It fluttered down and landed at my father's feet. He stared at it. December 2020, I read. Ava's transmission replacement, parts and labor, $3,000. You told your friends the dealership did it for free. I did it. I paid for the parts. I dropped that paper too. July 2021, Mom's emergency dental work because she wanted veneers, $2,000. Drop. January 2022, bail money for Ava's DUI that you covered up. The room gasped. Mrs. Higgins put her hand over her mouth. Ava went pale. You promised never to talk about that, Ava hissed. I promised not to talk about it if you paid me back, I said. You never did, $1,500. Drop. I kept going. I read faster. Roof repair, water heater replacement, new tires, grocery runs. Electric bills. Paper after paper, receipt after receipt. I let them fall like snow. They covered the dirty concrete floor in a layer of white. My parents stood there. They were shrinking. With every piece of paper, they got smaller. The truth was a physical weight. They couldn't argue with the receipts. They couldn't argue with the math. Total, I said, looking at the last page. In the last 10 years, I have given this family $42,000 and thousands of hours of labor. I looked at my father. He was looking at the floor. He couldn't meet my eyes. I didn't buy this house because I'm selfish, I said. I bought it because I worked while you pretended to be rich. I built this life with my hands. Paige, Mom whispered, please stop, people are watching. Let them watch, a voice said from the back. Logan stepped forward. My parents jumped. They hadn't seen him standing in the shadows near the tool chest. Logan, Ava breathed. She fixed her hair quickly, instinctively. Logan, you're here. Logan walked up to me. He stood next to me. He didn't look at Ava. He looked at my parents. I saw the folder, Logan said. Paige showed me last week. I'm an accountant's son. I know how to read a ledger. Your daughter hasn't just been helping you. She's been subsidizing you. He looked at Dad. You called her a failure, Logan said. But she's the only reason you haven't gone bankrupt. You didn't raise a failure. You raised a victim, and then you milked her dry. It's not like that, Dad stammered. It's complicated. Family finances are. It's not complicated, Logan said. It's theft. The word hung in the air, theft. My mother started to cry, but it wasn't the fake crying she usually did. It was the crying of someone who has been stripped naked in front of a crowd. She looked around the garage. She saw the faces of my neighbors. She saw the judgment in their eyes. There was no image left to save. The mask was shattered. We just came to say Merry Christmas, Dad muttered, trying to find a way out. We just wanted to be a family. No, I said. You came for money. You came for a fix. I kicked the pile of papers on the floor. This is the receipt, I said. The transaction is closed. The garage was very quiet. The only sound was the wind rattling the side door and my mother's soft sobbing. I felt a strange sensation in my chest. For years, I thought this moment would feel angry. I thought I would be screaming. I thought I would want to hurt them the way they hurt me. But I didn't feel angry. I felt tired. And I felt done. It was like finishing a long, difficult repair job. The engine is back together. The tools are put away. You wipe your hands. You turn off the lights. It's over. I looked at my parents. They looked like strangers. I realized I didn't need them. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their love because what they had wasn't love. It was need. Get out, I said. I didn't yell it. I said it softly. Paige, Mom said. Where will we go? It's Christmas Eve. Go home, I said. Eat a sandwich. Watch a movie. Look at each other and try to figure out why you're alone. But you can't be here. You're kicking out your own mother, Ava spat. She was trying to be angry, but she just looked scared. I'm removing the trespassers, I said. I pointed to the door. I am done being your mechanic, I said. I am done being your bank, and I am done being your punching bag. My father looked at me one last time. He opened his mouth to speak. He looked like he wanted to yell or maybe beg. But he looked at Logan standing next to me, looking strong and protective. He looked at the teenage boys standing up, ready to defend me. He closed his mouth. "Come on, Martha," he said to my mother. "Let's go." He turned around and walked out into the cold. My mother followed him. She didn't look back. Ava stood there for a second longer. She looked at Logan. "You could have had me," she whispered to him. "I know," Logan said simply. "I'm lucky I escaped." Ava made a noise of pure frustration, spun on her heel and stomped out. The door slammed shut. The lock clicked. They were gone. For a second, nobody moved. We all stared at the metal door. Then Mrs. Higgins cleared her throat. "Well," she said, "who wants more pizza?" The tension broke. A laugh rippled through the room. It started small, then it got louder. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. My shoulders dropped 2 inches. Logan turned to me. He put his hand on my shoulder. "You okay?" he asked. I looked at the pile of papers on the floor. My history of abuse. My history of neglect. I bent down and picked up the pile. I walked over to the trash can in the corner. I dropped them in. "Yeah," I said, "I'm okay." I looked around the garage. The lights were twinkling. The heater was humming. The boys were fighting over the last slice of pepperoni. Mrs. Higgins was pouring cider. This wasn't the family I was born into. It was the family I built. Just like I built my cars. I chose the parts. I welded them together. And this engine ran perfectly. "Merry Christmas, Paige," Logan said. I smiled, a real full smile. "Merry Christmas," I said. I walked back to the table, grabbed a cold soda, and sat down with my people. I didn't lose a family that night. I lost a burden. It has been exactly 1 year. It is Thanksgiving again. I am standing outside my garage. The air is cold, just like it was last year. Snow is falling softly. It covers the driveway in a clean white blanket. But this time, my driveway isn't empty. And it isn't filled with angry family members screaming at me. It is filled with cars. There is Mrs. Higgins' sedan. There are the beat-up trucks belonging to the teenagers I teach. There is Mr. Henderson's station wagon. And right next to my Mustang, there is Logan's car. I look through the window of the garage. It looks different now. I renovated it. I knocked down the back wall to make a real kitchen. I put in a big dining table. Inside, there are 20 people. They are laughing. They are passing bowls of mashed potatoes and stuffing. Logan is at the head of the table, carving a turkey. He looks up, sees me through the glass, and waves. He smiles that same smile that changed my life. I smile back. My parents aren't here. Ava isn't here. I heard from a cousin that they are having dinner at a restaurant this year. Apparently, they sold the big house. They downsized to a condo. Grandma never sent the checks again. They had to learn to live within their means. They tried to call me once back in June. My dad wanted to know if I could look at his transmission. I didn't answer. I let it go to voicemail. I didn't delete the voicemail, but I didn't listen to it either. I just let it sit there. It doesn't hurt me anymore. It's just a noise from the past. I learned something important this year. Family isn't about whose blood you have. It isn't about who you grew up with. Family is about who shows up. Family is the people who respect you. The people who don't ask you to change. The people who don't care if your hands are dirty, as long as your heart is good. I look at my hands. They are still rough. There is still grease under my nails, but I don't hide them anymore. I am proud of them. These hands built this life. These hands saved me. I take a deep breath of the cold air. I feel peace. It is a quiet, steady power. I turn away from the dark street and walk toward the garage, toward the light, toward the warmth, toward the people who chose me. I open the door. The smell of turkey and laughter hits me. "Hey, Paige," Mike yells. "Hurry up, the pie is almost gone." "Save me a slice," I say. "I'm coming home." A message from Paige. "Thank you for listening to my story. I know it wasn't easy to hear. It wasn't easy to live. But I told it because I know I am not the only one. There are a lot of people out there who are the fixers in their families. The ones who give and never get anything back. The ones who are made to feel small so others can feel big. If that is you, I want you to know something. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to set boundaries. You are allowed to walk away. It is scary at first. You will feel guilty. They will try to make you feel like the bad guy. But you are not the bad guy. You are just a person who decided to survive. If you have ever had to walk away to save yourself, you are not alone. We are out here. We are building our own tables. And there is always a seat for you at ours. Tell me where you are watching from in the comments below. Have you ever had to uninvite family from your life? Let's talk about it. And please subscribe for the next story.